Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the show Stock Talks by the Business Talk Library. And today we are talking about investing in the cannabis industry. Now, there's a company that is big in the news right now, and it is Tilray, and they are in the cannabis industry. So, my goal is to give you the inside information and break it down for you in less than 10 minutes. So, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So, as we take a look at Tilray again is in the cannabis industry. Now, when people think about the cannabis industry, people are thinking, so many different directions. So let me break it down. So what Tilray does is they're actually in the growing, the processing, the manufacturing of cannabis related products. So they're not just selling, say, raw cannabis or bags of weed. They're actually manufacturing medical products in the can that are infused with cannabis ingredients. So when we take a look at some of the things that they are doing here, what we can definitely see is that they are playing in a lot of different areas. And you know what, when it comes down to the cannabis industry, it's not so much about do you have an interesting product. It really is, it's do you have a good business around the products? Because we know a lot of people are interested in cannabis products, but the big thing becomes is can you actually run the business of a cannabis business? There's a ton of regulations, and there are tons of things to work through. And a couple of things to highlight for Tilray is Tilray has done a really good job of being the first to receive a good manufacturing practice certificate for their medical cannabis products. I mean, recently in the news, some of the things that have come up is in January, they struck a deal with France to be able to actually supply their products in France. In February, there are multiple things. I mean, from Portugal to Spain to the UK of getting their products there, which means that it is a very, very good chance that they can see more growth. And maybe that's why a lot of people are looking at the Tilray product. So when it comes down to looking at the product, the way I like to look at the product when it comes to an investment is asking myself, okay, is that product solving a big problem? And does the company really have a good handle on how to get that product to the people? Again, when it comes down to cannabis, there's a lot of regulations involved. So you really want to understand, does this company know how to get their products to the customers? So when I look at the product category, I would have to say that Tilray is definitely an A minus. And the reason why I give it an A minus is because the cannabis industry, it is heavily regulated. There are some concerns there about, where the product can go and who can have it and how frequently they can get the product. So I do think that it is a product that has a lot of interest, but there are some barriers and some hurdles that Tilray has to work through that are outside of their control when it comes down to expanding their product. Now, the next area, this is the area that I really specialize in, is when it comes down to the money. Because what you want to look at when it comes down to a business is you want to understand can the company actually make money? Because if the company can't make money and they can't manage the money, then they're going to have issues there. So you want to make sure how are they performing when it comes down to the finances. Now, when I look at Tilray, one of the things that first jumps out to me is, their revenue has been pretty consistent. I mean, even though they launched some new products kind of late 2019, early 2020, I mean, the revenue still has been fairly consistent, which is a good sign. I mean, in the midst of COVID, they've been able to still keep pretty good interest in their products. Now, the thing that starts to concern me is when I look at the gross margin, because that's after they pay for all the product, the internal cost to produce the product, is how much margin are they making? Now that becomes very, very important because it tells me, can they control their costs? Because it's one thing to sell it, but if you can't control the cost that it actually takes you to produce the product or to provide the product, that is not a good thing at all. So I am very, very concerned about that aspect of their business. And it makes me really think, okay, can they manage their costs well enough to be able to generate a profit? And also considering that I don't necessarily foresee their revenue jumping up tremendously because, again, there are regulations, there are some hurdles, there are some things that they got to work through to be able to provide their product. Another area is then when we look at cash, cash becomes very important because in this industry, they're having to do a lot of investing into the product, the processes, the different things that they're doing. I do like the fact that they have been able to keep sufficient cash in their business, which shows there is interest in this business if they're able to generate that much cash to fund their business. Now, we can clearly see that cash is not coming from their operating processes because their operating is losing cash, but that means that they're able to get loans or they're able to get money from investors, which tells me that there is some interest in this company. Now, I think that, like I said, they have enough cash to invest in the future and for where the company is going. But when I look at the cash or the financial performance as of right now, I would have to say I think their grade is a B in that area because I don't really see them making a huge jump in their revenue immediately. I think they could do it over the long run, but that's going to be depending on can they get some things approved and where can they get their product to. Now, the last part that you really care about the most is the stock price, because the stock price is how you're going to make money. And as you can see, over the last 6 months, this stock has really jumped. And if we go back to some of the highlights, some of the new contracts and the deals that they got in place to be able to really expand their product into Europe has been a huge thing. So when I look at the stock price, I would say based on where the stock price is now, I don't necessarily see the stock price making huge jumps from where it is now, unless there are some more big things that are coming out. Because as you can see, as of the day that I'm filming this, the stock price went up by $21. I mean, that is a huge jump. And I don't necessarily foresee it jumping up even more unless there are going to be some big things that come out to really give some room for this stock to grow even more. So when it comes down to the stock price, I would say I give the stock price a B. Now, I think, like I said, there could be potential for it to grow even more, but there has to be some things that happen and some things that fall in place for that to happen. So when we look at overall, we gave the product the A minus. Great product, but there are some barriers. We gave the finances a B because, hey, they're improving their financial performance, but there is still some opportunity for them to get better. The gross margin is one that really concerns me. And then we look at the stock price. Stock has been jumping. I mean, it grew $21 from the time we were looking at it. And that's great growth. But again, for it to grow even more, because the way you make money is not how much it grew in the past. The way you make money is how much does this stock grow from the time you bought it to the time you get ready to sell it. And right now, I don't foresee it making huge jumps unless there are some other things in play. So overall, I would say I give this company a B plus. I think, like I said, if you're looking at this company for a long-term play, I definitely think it could be a long-term player because they have the infrastructure, they have the manufacturing facilities, they appear to be getting the right relationships to get their product out there. But I just don't see it making another huge jump in the short term. But in the long term, this could be a good one. So if you like these type of stock review videos where we dive a little bit deeper, plus we do a bunch of other stuff on the Facebook page. So definitely join the Stock Talks by the Business Talk Library on the Facebook page. And if you want to go even deeper where we do this with even more companies, join the Smart Investor community on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Business Talk Library. And there you can join the Smart Investor and the VIP investor community, because the VIP investors get to nominate what stocks will be on the next episodes. So if you want to get more, join the community and tune in every Wednesday for another free stock review that we do just for you guys on live on Facebook and on YouTube.